What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video. And I'm here with the Washington Redskins versus Cleveland Browns. Week 1 NFL preseason preview. Going to be previewing this game, give you guys some things to watch and some players to look forward to watching when this game begins. Now, before I begin this video, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel as well as NFL videos and NFL content daily. So, this game is really interesting to watch. Some players to watch for this game. You obviously have to keep your eyes on the quarterback competition for the Washington Redskins. You have Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, and Colt McCoy. Now, the last time I checked their updated roster or their updated depth chart in terms of where these quarterbacks are ranked, Colt McCoy is the quarterback 1. Then Case Keenum is the backup quarterback, and Dwayne Haskins is the third string quarterback. So it's obviously going to be interesting to seeing how these guys get their playing time and how many snaps these guys are going to get each. Colt McCoy is not really a surprise that he's the first string quarterback because this is a guy who knows the Jay Gruden system well. Been in it for a few seasons now, so it's not really a surprise. And Case Keenum and Dwayne Haskins are fairly new, still trying to figure out the playbook and things like that, still learning this offense. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys separate themselves and who ends up being a starting quarterback. Now, a lot of people thought it could either be Colt McCoy or Dwayne Haskins. I wasn't really expecting Case Keenum to still remain in the mix, but it's going to be interesting. And Dwayne Haskins is an interesting story because this is a guy who they drafted in the top 15 of this year's NFL draft. And it's pretty strange to me that they don't plan on starting him right away, since this is a guy who, at this point in the draft, they could have gotten a lot of talented players. There was still a lot of talented offensive linemen on the board as well who they could have drafted, but they chose to take Dwayne Haskins instead. So I think it's pretty interesting that they have a top 15 pick, but as of right now, he's not the starting quarterback, which I'm not really bashing that because this is a guy who pretty much needs to earn the starting job. So I can see that, but I want to see what he does in this game, and also Case Keenum as well, because if Case Keenum doesn't have good preseason, then he can end up getting released and being a free agent. Then the Washington Redskins off the line, obviously everything that's going on with Trent, we really want to see what this off the line is at. A Washington Redskins insider that I was talking to a few days ago said that he doesn't really have that much confidence in the offensive line, but before he makes his judgment on how good the Washington Redskins season will be, he needs to see a couple of preseason games to see how this offensive line performs. So I think this is a very big thing to watch. Then the last thing to watch in this game is the Cleveland Browns offense. Now, obviously, with Freddie Kitchens being the new head coach and Todd Monken being the new offensive coordinator, it's going to be interesting to see how much of this offense that they show in the preseason, because in the preseason, you don't really want to show your whole entire offense because you kind of want to go into the new NFL season. If you're a new head coach, you kind of want to have a little bit of unpredictability there. You don't really want to know teams knowing your tendencies and things like that before the season begins. So those are my things to watch for this game. Now getting into some players to watch. Some players to watch for the Washington Redskins. Obviously, I'm going to be watching quarterback Dwayne Haskins. It's been a top 15 pick on this guy. And the fact that this guy's a third string quarterback, I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on him because I want to see how good this kid really is. I thought he was the best quarterback going into this year's draft over Kyler Murray. And really, I thought that he was the most accurate, and I thought he had a very solid arm as well. And I thought that he got too much undeserved criticism this offseason because he was utilizing the players that he had around him. I mean, you can't really bash him for that. So I think that Dwayne Haskins is going to end up being a solid quarterback, and I want to see what he ends up doing in his first NFL action. Then the wide receiver position is going to be interesting. Basically, I'm going to be watching all the wide receivers on this roster because that's another thing that is a big concern going into this off season or going into the regular season is how good is this wide receiver core going to be. You got guys like Josh Doctson who had a good off season. That's been the reports coming out of camp, but this is also a guy who had a very good off season last year around this time. So, I mean, I'm going to be interested to see what he does when the regular season rolls around, but I'm going to be keeping my eyes on him, seeing if he breaks out and makes any big plays in the few series that he's going to be in. Then you got rookie wide receiver Terry McLaurin. Now, Terry McLaurin played with Dwayne Haskins through college when he was playing for Ohio State as well. Very solid route runner, has good hands and good speed. So I want to see what he does in this game. And pretty much him and Dwayne Haskins pretty much should be on the field with each other. So it's going to be interesting seeing what they do together and if they're going to be able to rekindle the same connection that they had in college in this game here. Then halfback Darius Geis. To be honest, I don't really want to see that much of Darius Geis just because I want to plan on drafting him in my fantasy football league. And Darius Geis is a guy who has struggled with staying healthy. Last offseason, he suffered a season-ending injury in a preseason, and this offseason, he's been pretty banged up. So I really want to see Darius Geis get a series in, get a little bit refreshed, and then I want him to get taken out. I don't really want to see him in the game too long, and there's really no need to see Darius Geis in for a long period of time because they have a lot of other halfbacks on the roster who need to get some significant reps so they can decide who they're going to end up releasing when they trim down the roster. Then I'm going to be watching linebackers. Montez Sweat, who they drafted in this year's NFL draft, I believe they traded back into the first round to get him. Now, he's a guy who a lot of people are just looking at him because of the potential that he has, but I want to see what skills that he actually has and what he does on the NFL level here. And this is a big chance to show it against this Cleveland Browns team, which off the line is kind of a little bit of a question mark. It's improved, but how good is it going to be, especially when he's going to be going against backups as well. So I really want to see him make some plays in this game. Cole Holmcomb is a guy who I think can end up having a significant part of this Washington Redskins defense in the regular season since they are a little bit depleted at that position there. So he's a guy who I think can end up having some impact there if he ends up having a solid preseason because he's a very good linebacker when it comes to guarding linebacker, tight ends, and halfbacks at the backfield and coverage. So I want to see what he does in this game. And the last player to watch for the Washington Redskins is cornerback Jimmy Moreland out of James Madison University. So now some players to watch for the Cleveland Browns. Going to keep my eyes on quarterback Garrett Gilbert. Garrett Gilbert basically was the MVP of the Alliance of American Football before it ended up going out of business. Very solid touch there when he was playing for the AAF under Steve Spurrier. Made a lot of big plays. And I really want to see what he does in this game for the Cleveland Browns if we see him get in anything at all. CornerIslands.com, they had him listed as the Cleveland Browns third string quarterback. So we pretty much might not see him touch the field until late in the fourth quarter. Basically, is when we see third strings touch the ball and things like that. So I really want to see what he does in this game. Then you got halfback Dearness Johnson, who also played in the AAF, along with Garrett Gilbert. And this was a guy who made a lot of big plays. This is a guy who was very strong and explosive. So he had a very, very rare combination of speed, explosiveness, and athleticism that you don't really see in halfbacks like this who you just find in free agency. So, I mean, I'm really interested to see Dearness Johnson, and I'm eager to see if he's going to be able to even make this roster because this is a halfback position that is stacked. I mean, they got Kareem Hunt, they have Duke Johnson, they have Nick Chubb, so they have a lot of halfbacks at that halfback position. So I really need to see a lot out of Dearness Johnson at the NFL level if he wants to end up making a case to make this roster or at least make the practice squad. Then another player is wide receiver Antonio Callaway. Now, Antonio Callaway had a little bit of an up and down season in his rookie year for the Cleveland Browns last year. He showed a lot of signs in preseason, but by the time the regular season rolled around, he was a little bit too inconsistent. A big part of that, in my opinion, was for the fact that he was out of football for a year, so he was just now getting reacclimated to playing football. Didn't really play that much his last season at Florida. I don't even think he played at all. Then he went ahead and declared for the NFL draft. So I really want to see what Antonio Callaway does in week 2, and this is a good chance to do it there. Now, the linebackers, Mac Wilson was a guy who had a first-round grade on him. I didn't really see him getting drafted no later than the second, had him going to the late first, but this is a guy whose draft stock plummeted. I don't know why. I think this is a very talented linebacker. I thought the Cleveland Browns got a steal, and I think I really want to see what he does in this game because I think this is a very solid linebacker, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up starting for the Cleveland Browns if he ends up having a good preseason week 1. Then we got to look at the cornerbacks. You got rookie cornerbacks, Greedy Williams and Donnie Lewis Jr. Now, Donnie Lewis Jr. was very solid when he played for the University of Kentucky, especially when it comes to tackling. He's a pretty good tackler there. Then you got Greedy Williams, who reminds me a lot of Denzel Ward. I thought Greedy Williams was for sure a lock in the first round, but he ended up falling to the Cleveland Browns in the second. Reminds me identically of Denzel Ward. They both had the similar strengths and weaknesses. both very good man-to-man coverage corners as well. But the question about Greedy Williams is his ability to tackle. Can he finish tackles? And also, can Denzel Ward finish tackles was a little bit of a concern for him when he was going into the NFL draft 2018. So I think these players are basically similar. They basically are identical. They play just the same. So I really want to see what Gritty Williams does. This is a guy who's competing to see if he can end up starting at that second cornerback position on the opposite side of Denzel Ward. The last player to watch for the Cleveland Browns is safety Sheldrick Redwine, and I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, so obviously I'm gonna keep my eyes on him. But Sheldrick Redwine is a very good tackler, makes a lot of big hits. He can punish guys from coming across the middle, and he can legitimately be in for some playing time if he does very well in the preseason. If a guy like a Morgan Burnett ends up going down with an injury. So this is it for my Cleveland Browns versus Washington Redskins Week 1 preseason preview. Let me know some guys who you guys want to be watching down in the comment section down below. Also make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.